Hey guys, today for math we are going to be going over how to work multi-step word problems. And I wanted to go ahead and start off by going over some anchor charts to kind of remind you of how we work through those problems the right way. So one important thing would be to remember all of those keywords that we've gone over to remind you what you need to be doing in each problem. So these are like your clue words. As soon as you hear one of these words, you need to think, hey, that might mean I should, blah, blah, blah. Now remember that sometimes you're going to have a clue word that shows up in more than one category, which means there's more than one operation you could do when you hear that word. One specific example I know we've heard of a lot this year would be each. So a lot of times when we're reading through it might say, how many pieces of pie did each boy get? Well, you usually think, okay, each means multiply. However, what you should think is each could mean multiply, but if I'm not getting more of something, it might mean divide. So that's when you've got to stop and think, what's my question really asking me? So I'm going to post this anchor chart in our group and on our website so that you can go through and you can kind of use this as a reference just like you would with your math journals at school. So if you get stuck on a problem, you can look back at this and think, okay, so I see these clue words. What is it asking me to do? So when you're working through a word problem, which is an addition or subtraction, and in our case, multiplication or division story. So when you're doing that, it says how to solve. Number one, read the problem. Of course, we can't just look at it and look at the numbers and expect to know the answer. We've got to read the problem and read it carefully and pay attention. Number two says to circle important numbers. We always circle all the numbers so that they stand out to us. They don't just blend in with the rest of the problem. We underline important words. And we draw a picture if we need to help us imagine and visualize what they're asking us. And then we solve it by showing our work. That is one of the most important things that you guys can be doing right now, because since you're not in class with me right now, I have no way to see like how you got your answer or what you're thinking. And if you got one wrong, I have no way to help you understand why. So you've got to make sure that you really are showing your work and working through it by showing me how your thinking was. So you got to think about those important words. Okay, right here they have the words for adding and subtracting. Don't forget that we also multiply and divide in third grade, so it's not just as simple as adding and subtracting for us. One cool thing that some of the other third grade teachers have been using in their classrooms that I want to share with you is this method called cubes, and it just reminds you of all of those strategies that you need to do. So for the C, it's circle the numbers. U, underline the question. B, box the words that are keywords. E, eliminate info that's not needed, because remember, sometimes it'll tell you about Jack and Jill and Humpty Dumpty, but you really didn't need to know about Humpty Dumpty. You only care about Jack and Jill, and that's when we always say, oh, sorry, Humpty, nobody cares about you. That's what you're doing when you're eliminating that. You're thinking, okay, there's too much information here, and I don't actually need all of this. And then lastly, your S means to solve by showing your work. So let's look at a few problems together and see how you would go about working those. So number one says Joshua bought new pencils for $2 and new crayons for $1. So I've got Joshua bought new pencils for $2 and crayons for $1. He paid with a $5 bill. How much change did Joshua get back after paying for his new supplies? So what I've done here is I circled the numbers. I underlined the question. I've boxed my keyword, and there isn't any extra information that I don't need here, so now it's time to solve by showing my work. So I've got to think, first of all, okay, so he bought two things, so what should I do with that information? Well, I should figure out how much he spent first. So if I'm going to do that, I'm going to take the information about the money he spent, and what am I going to do? I'm going to add those together, okay? So what is $2 plus $1? $3. Okay, and he paid with a $5 bill. And now I heard this word change. And if you remember, every time you hear the word change, you need to think what? Subtract, right? Okay, so we need to start with our big number on top always, which is 5. And you have to put your decimal and your zeros because we're dealing with money. And there's money over here with decimals and zeros. So 5 minus $3. This is what he paid with. This is how much he spent. And so I'm going to circle my sign so I know what I'm doing. Now I'm going to figure out how much changed. So 5 minus 3 is $2. So Joshua should get back $2 after he pays for his new supplies. Okay, let's look at the next one. Number 2 says 23 puppies are for sale at the pet store. 14 puppies are black and 6 puppies are brown. The rest of the puppies have spots. How many puppies have spots? All right, so I've circled my numbers. I've underlined the question. I boxed my keyword. And when I hear that word rest, that usually tells me that I'm going to have to do what at some point in this problem? I'm going to have to subtract. And then I need to think, do I need to eliminate any of this information? No, it's all important. This tells me how many there are total, and this tells me the little bits that make it up. I need to figure out the last little chunk so I can solve by showing my work. So if you remember, I've shown you guys how to do a strip diagram before. And what that means is that's what we do whenever we have a big number and we have a few little chunks that make it up, but we need that last little missing bit. So when we're doing our strip diagram, you can draw your rectangle and then you split it in half long ways. And your big number goes on top because that's your total, so 23. And 14 of those are black, so I'm going to draw a line to separate, and I'm going to have 14 black. And then 6 of them are brown, so 6 brown. And I want to know how many have spots. And I don't know that yet. Okay, so this just kind of helps you picture it. There's 23 puppies total. This amount of them are black, this amount are brown, and this many have spots. I don't know this many, so think, what should you do to figure that out? It's a multi-step problem. Right, we're going to add our 14 and our 6, our brown and our black. So 14 plus 6, make sure you line it up right. So we've got 4 plus 6 is 10, bring up your 1, and 1 plus 1 is 2, so 20. Okay, that's not the answer. Okay, that's how many black and brown puppies there are. Okay, so you can't just stop there. Now we got to think, okay, if these together are 20, how many are left to get me to 23? So that's where my subtraction comes in. So I'm going to take my total, 23, subtract 20, and I should get what? 3. So there are 3 with spots. 3 puppies with spots. All right, let's look at number 3. At the football game, Eli gained 92 yards rushing. Okay, so Eli gained 92. Samuel gained 30 yards more than Eli. What was the total number of yards gained by both boys during the football game? So I heard several keywords in this problem. So I've circled my numbers, I've underlined the question, I boxed my keywords. I don't think there's any information that needs to be eliminated, so now I can solve by showing my work. All right, so let's think this through, okay? It says, what was the total number of yards gained by both boys? Total and both are both clue words that mean what? They usually mean add, like put it together. If I'm going to put them both together to get a total, okay? So I'm not just going to add 92 and 30 though, because look at this other keyword. Samuel gained 30 yards more than Eli. What does that word mean? It means that I'm going to need to add. So this is one of those problems where I need to think about what I know. So I know that Eli gained 92 yards. I know that Samuel gained 30 yards more than Eli, who had 92. Okay, so I'm going to need to add those two together. So 90, oops, wrong number. Try that again. 92 plus 30. So 2 plus 0 is 2, and 9 plus 3 is 12. So Samuel got 122 yards. Okay? What was the total number of yards gained by both boys during the football game? So now I can put those together. So I'm going to add 122 plus 92. That's Samuel plus Eli. So I've got 2 plus 2, which is 4. 2 plus 9, which is 11, and I'm going to carry my 1, and 1 plus 1 is 2. Okay, and then I've got my last problem here. It says Mrs. Myers bought 18 juice boxes, and 18 bottles of water for a class party. There are 22 students in the class. How many drinks will be left over if every student has one thing to drink? All right, so let's think this through. Miss Myers bought 18 juice boxes and 18 bottles of water, and there's 22 students in the class, and we just want them to have one thing to drink. We don't care if it's juice, we don't care if it's water, we just want them to have one thing to drink. Doesn't matter which one. All right, so first then I need to probably figure out how many drinks I have, period, no matter what they are. So I would need to do what? Right, I would need to add 18 juice boxes and 18 bottles of water to have all of the drinks in like one ice chest. So picture it like that. So I've got 8 plus 8 is 16, so 6. Carry my 1, and I have 1, 2, 3. So 36. So that's how many drinks there are. Now there's only 22 kids in the class, and my keywords down here said leftover. Remember, that's kind of like change or the rest. So if I'm going to be thinking like that, what is this keyword going to tell me to do then? It's going to want me to subtract. So I need to think 36 drinks minus 22, gone, 1 for each student, would be 6 minus 2 is 4, and 3 minus 2 is 1. So there will be 14 drinks left over. Okay, so that was your quick review. I hope that was helpful to kind of go over how we solve these multi-step problems and pay attention to all of our keywords and things like that. And I'm going to go ahead and post those anchor charts in your group so that you can reference them. And I'll post a picture of those problems we just worked as well so that you have them to look back at. And before I let you guys go, I do want to go over your options on your choice board for today. So for today, your assignment is to choose 2 odd number boxes from the choice board to complete. So remember, odd numbers are 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Okay, so I'm going to circle the ones that you can pick from for today. 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. All right, so if I'm picking from those options, I'm only going to go over those today because your even ones are for next week, okay? So 1 says, create a word problem that can be solved using addition and subtraction. Be sure to use proper capitalization and punctuation. Next, write sentences to explain how you would solve the problem. So it wants you to make your own word problem that works out kind of like these. Okay, so it wants something where you have to add and subtract in there. So it's a 2-step problem. Okay. Number 3 says, solve the following word problem. Samantha, Gordon, and Diego each brought an ice chest to a picnic. The weight of Samantha's ice chest was 83 pounds. The weight of Gordon's ice chest was 28 pounds. The weight of Diego's ice chest was 37 pounds. What was the difference in pounds between the weight of Samantha's ice chest and the combined weight of Gordon's and Diego's ice chests? So make sure that you pay attention to those keywords there. You need to be showing all of your work on that. If you need to do it on the back of your choice board or on a separate paper, definitely do that, okay? Number 5 says, write a word problem that could be solved using the following equation. So let's talk about that for a minute. So let's say that I had a different equation, okay, that would be similar. So let's say I've got 782 minus 193 equals, I don't actually know what that equals. Let me figure that out. Okay. So let's say that this is the equation that they're wanting me to use, okay? And they want me to write a word problem that could be used using this equation. Okay, so my word problem might be, let's see. Allison had $782. We're going to make this dollars for me. She spent $193 on new AirPods. How much money, did she have left after buying AirPods? Okay, so there is an example of a word problem using an equation. So don't copy mine exactly, okay? I definitely want to know that you were thinking of your own and you were being creative in that, so please don't copy mine. Come up with your own, and then that way I can give you some feedback on that, but that's just an example of how you would do that. Number 7 says, solve the following word problem. Explain the process in which you use to solve the problem. Roger has 2 boxes of nails. One box has 438 nails. The other box has 375 nails. How many nails does Roger have in these 2 boxes? So I'm going to give you a hint here. I might would draw a picture to help you solve that, okay? And then explain the process you used to solve the problem. You can either write down the process that you used, or you can send me a video of you explaining how you worked that problem, okay? Number 9 says write a word problem that could be solved using the following equation. So that's going to be the same way that you did this one, except for look at the difference here. This is add, and this is subtract. So you're going to create a problem that would look like this, okay, using those numbers. So your only assignment for this week is just to keep studying your math facts and to complete 2 of these odd number choices from your choice board, okay? And make sure you send a picture to me. You guys have been doing such an awesome job on all of your work so far. Seriously, I have been so proud, and it makes me so happy to see pictures of what you're doing at home. I love that. So I can't wait to hear from you and see what kind of awesome work you come up with. Good luck.